What happens if you combine a satisfying animation with a shooter? This question got me curious. What if there was a game that didn't require grinding, solving complex puzzles, and wasn't trying to be realistic, but was just made to be satisfying? Well, from what I could find, a game like that doesn't exist. That's why I decided to make the most satisfying shooter I could. But there was a big problem. I had no idea what makes the game satisfying. So I did some extensive research, and I found a few principles that satisfying things seem to have in common. If I want the game to be as satisfying as possible, I need to stick to these principles. I also discovered there are things that can make it less satisfying that should be avoided, like frustration and unpleasant sounds, for obvious reasons. Not very satisfying. But the one thing that most satisfying things use in some way is perfection, which could be objects fitting together perfectly or making a perfect cut, and is something I definitely need to use in the game. From all this, I decided to make a wave-based shooter that's only focus is to be as satisfying as possible. I also didn't want the scope to be too big, and wanted to finish it in about a month. Now it's finally time to create the project, and I had to give it a name, so I decided to call it Anti-Struct. I don't know, it sounded cool, shut up. And now that I'm in my project, it's time to leave because we need to make some assets first. So I started out by making some arms in Blender and gave them some bones for animation. And I don't know about you, but I think they're perfect. Next, I made a gun and animated it with the hands. This is going to be a rapid fire gun, so I decided to call it a rapid fire. I actually couldn't come up with a better name than that. If you can come up with a better one, please let me know. After putting everything together in Unreal and setting up some basic player movement, we now have a functioning game. Now, don't get me wrong, running around in circles with a gun is pretty fun, but there are some things we can do to enhance this experience. So I made an enemy robot which smashes things, which I will call a smasher.
Hello, I'm a smasher and I like to smash things. Smash, 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 smash.
Then I gave it some animations, made some eyes for it, and put it all together in Unreal. And I thought they deserved names, so I named this one Lee. I named this one Lee too. And this is also Lee. Yeah, they're pretty much all named Lee. Then I gave them some basic AI and let them run around. And they're not quite as intimidating as I thought they would be, but I guess that's okay. Aw, this one's running away from me. I wonder why he would— oh no, no, they're surrounding me, they're gonna give me— I can't get out, they're gonna kill me, this is awkward. I wish I could shoot him. So I added firing logic and a damage system. And now I can kill enemies. Wow, this game is so much fun. Then I decided to start adding some feedback. I started by adding particle effects and a little bit of camera shake when you fire the weapon. Also, one of the things that's popular among satisfying videos are squishy things. So I made a shader that squishes when it gets shot. And now Lee can do this. Then I added some screen distortion and made Lee fall into a heap when you kill him. And then I found an interesting bug. If you shoot him into the floor, he can glitch into the ground. So I shot a few more into the floor, and couldn't tell you why, but they seem even less intimidating. I'm no expert, but I don't think that's how you're supposed to swim. The next problem we have is we can't see where we're shooting. So I made a crosshair that reacts when you shoot, and will show a hit mark when you land a shot. I think that's enough feedback, for now. Now to make a shooter feel perfect, one thing came to mind. Aim assist. So I made the gun snap to the closest enemy, and I think it works pretty well. I'm planning on adding some kind of an upgrade system, so I had enemies drop currency that you could walk by to collect, which is a totally original idea, by the way. I definitely didn't plagiarize that from any popular block game, I'm not even sure why. I think it's time to add some more weapons. So I made two new weapons, the one-shot and the RPG. Again, great names. But now that we have multiple weapons, we need to figure out how to swap between them. At first I thought about just replacing the weapon in the player's hands, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then I had an idea that's more animated. For each weapon, there could be one animation to put it back, and one animation to equip it. Then if you chain these animations together, it looks like you're putting one weapon away and grabbing a new one. So I made equip and put away animations for every weapon, and I think the result turned out pretty well. Now another popular satisfying thing is breaking glass. So I decided to have the one-shot shatter enemies into pieces. Houston, we have a problem. Turns out the issue here comes down to how Unreal handles collision. Trying to calculate physics for every point on a mesh would be way too slow. So to speed it up, game engines use a different shape to calculate collision, which is a huge improvement to performance. And since these fractured pieces don't have those shapes, they just fall through the floor. So each piece needs to generate what's called a Convex Hall, so it can still have realistic physics. But I don't have enough time to research and implement an algorithm that can generate. A convex hull is a shape that surrounds all the points in a given set. This looks pretty straightforward, but unfortunately computers can't figure it out as easily. So I started researching different methods and building models to find the most optimal algorithm. And after countless hours of trial and error— Wait a minute, hold on. What if I just picked random points? Would that work? Yes. Yes, it will. With one shot finally working, I moved on to the RPG and made a rocket projectile that explodes when it hits a surface. Oh, whoops, I forgot to light the fuse. Hold on. Alright, this game is actually starting to get pretty fun. Now what should I do next? Let's see, I still need to add upgrades, sound effects, more enemies, advanced AI, the entire—
I also didn't want the scope to be too big.
Save system, and wow, it's already been a month. I'm gonna have to make multiple videos for this project, so I guess that makes this the first anti-struct devlog. Anti-struct. Is that really the best I can come up with?